First Strike Initiative. The quantum alert came at 3:42 Earth Standard Time. Dr. Elena Santos stared at the pulsing red indicator on her holographic display, her dark eyes reflecting the emergency protocols activating across Titan bases systems. After 15 years of watching, waiting, and preparing, humanity's greatest fear had finally materialized. Director Chen, Elena's voice remained steady as she activated the quantum comlink. The Coraxian fleet just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. 300 vessels, matching the beta scenario projections. In her office at Luna Command, Director Sarah Chen set down her coffee mug, the liquid inside still untouched. The room's smart glass windows shifted to tactical display mode, showing real-time positioning of Earth's defensive grid. Time to contact. 47 minutes at their current velocity. They're following the exact approach vector we anticipated. A slight smile crossed Chen's face. Then let's not disappoint our guests. Initialize First Strike. Across the solar system, humanity's carefully orchestrated defense plan sprang into action. To any outside observer, Earth's colonies appeared to be scrambling in panic, evacuation protocols engaging at Mars base, mining operations shutting down on Europa, research stations going dark across the asteroid belt. It looked like chaos. It was anything but. The Coraxians had spent decades studying humanity from afar, watching as Earth's species took its first tentative steps into space. They saw the clumsy chemical rockets, the primitive ion engines, the struggling colonies dependent on supply ships from Earth. They saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see. What they didn't see was Project Oracle. Deep beneath the surface of Titan, in chambers protected by quantum encryption fields, humanity had built something unprecedented. Not weapons. The Coraxians would have detected those. Not ships. They would have seen them. Instead, they built something far more dangerous. Understanding. For 15 years, the most advanced quantum computers ever created had been processing data, analyzing Coraxian communication patterns intercepted at the edge of solar space, predicting their tactics, their strategies, their very thoughts. Every possible scenario had been simulated millions of times. Every response calculated, every countermove planned. Elena watched as the massive Coraxian warships drew closer, their crystalline hulls refracting sunlight in ways that still defied conventional physics. The lead vessel, nearly the size of Earth's moon, began broadcasting on all frequencies. People of Earth, the message began, translated instantly by Oracle's linguistics matrix. I am High Commander Vexthor of the Coraxian Empire. Your species has been deemed too dangerous to allow continued independent development. Submit to immediate integration into our collective or face extinction. You have 30 minutes to respond. In Luna Command, Director Chen opened a secure channel to all human military assets in the system. All units, execute Protocol Omega. Timing is everything. Remember your training. Across the solar system, hidden quantum transmitters activated. Specialized energy fields, developed through decades of secret research, began to pulse in precisely calculated patterns. To the Coraxian sensors, it would appear as nothing more than background radiation. At first, the Coraxian fleet maintained its approach, weapon systems charging, shields at maximum. They expected token resistance at best, perhaps a few nuclear missiles, easily deflected. What they got instead was far more subtle. Deep within the Coraxian ships, quantum-level disturbances began to appear in their crystalline computer cores. Tiny errors in navigation calculations, microscopic fluctuations in shield harmonics. Nothing obvious enough to trigger alarms, but each tiny deviation had been precisely calculated by Project Oracle years in advance. High Commander Vexthor frowned as his tactical display flickered, just for a millisecond. Engineering, report. All systems nominal. High Commander, his chief engineer responded. Though we're detecting unusual quantum interference patterns, likely natural phenomena from the system's star. Vexthor's 4 eyes narrowed. Something felt wrong, but he couldn't place it. The humans hadn't even responded to their ultimatum yet. His fleet was in perfect attack formation. Victory was assured. That's when the first antimatter mine detonated. Hidden in a field of ordinary space debris, the device had been waiting for precisely this moment, its detonation timed to the microsecond based on Oracle's predictions. The explosion wasn't meant to destroy, merely to disrupt the carefully maintained formation of the Coraxian fleet. As ships automatically adjusted their positions to compensate, they triggered more mines. Each detonation was precisely calculated to force the Coraxian vessels into specific positions, like pieces on a cosmic chessboard being arranged by an invisible hand. "Return fire," Vex Thor commanded, but targeting systems were becoming increasingly unreliable. The quantum interference was growing stronger, creating ghost images, false readings. In her office, Director Chen opened a channel to all Earth forces. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. Elena checked the quantum readings one final time. Everything was proceeding exactly as Oracle had predicted. "May our ancestors forgive us for what we're about to do," she whispered, then pressed the activation key. Across the solar system, hundreds of quantum resonators hidden on asteroids, moons, and orbital debris activated simultaneously. The overlapping fields they generated had been calculated to interact with the crystalline structure of Coraxian technology in very specific ways. The effect was instantaneous. Throughout the Coraxian fleet, crystalline computer cores began to vibrate at their resonant frequency. Not enough to shatter them. That would have been too obvious, too easy to counter. Instead, the vibrations introduced subtle errors into every calculation, every command, every response. "High Commander," the tactical officer's voice was tense. "We're detecting human vessels launching from Mars orbit." Vex Thor laughed despite his growing unease. "Let them come. Their primitive ships are no match for." He never finished the sentence. The primitive ships weren't ships at all, but automated drones designed to exploit the quantum interference patterns now plaguing the Coraxian fleet. Each drone carried a payload of specialized nanites, programmed to interact with the crystalline technology in ways that would have seemed like magic to humanity just decades ago. As the first wave of drones impacted Coraxian shields, they appeared to disintegrate. In reality, they had performed exactly as designed, their nanite payloads slipping through shield frequencies that had been calculated to fail at precisely that moment. The real battle for Earth was about to begin, and humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology, their ships, or their weapons. It was their understanding, their preparation, and their absolute determination to prove that sometimes the most dangerous species are the ones that appear the least threatening. Director Chen stood at her window, watching as the quantum interference patterns became visible to the naked eye. Beautiful, shifting colors dancing between the Coraxian ships like Aurora Borealis in space. "Send the response to their ultimatum," she ordered. The message was simple, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect correction. "We decline your offer. Let us show you why." Project Oracle unveiled. High Commander Vex Thor watched in growing horror as his mighty fleet began to move like a school of drugged fish, ships drifting out of formation, weapons systems cycling randomly, shield harmonics fluctuating in patterns that shouldn't have been possible. The quantum interference had spread throughout his entire command, creating a web of cascading failures that somehow felt intentional. "Execute Emergency Protocol 7. He bellowed, his crystalline command throne vibrating beneath him. "Purge all systems and restart from protected memory." "We can't, High Commander," his systems officer's voice cracked with fear. "The protected memory crystals are. They're changing their structure at the quantum level. It's as if someone knew exactly how our technology worked and wrote new laws of physics specifically to counter it." Deep within Titan Base, Elena Santos monitored the quantum feeds with a mixture of satisfaction and awe. "Director Chen, the Coraxian fleet is responding exactly as Oracle predicted. Their attempt at system purge just opened up their secondary command protocols to our quantum infiltration. In Luna Command, Sarah Chen nodded, watching the tactical displays as they showed the Corexian fleet's formerly perfect formation deteriorating into chaos. Begin Phase 3. Let's show them what Oracle really is. The quantum resonators hidden throughout the solar system shifted frequency, their overlapping fields now carrying something far more sophisticated than simple interference patterns. Through quantum channels that the Corexians had never imagined possible, Project Oracle began to communicate directly with their ship's crystalline cores. On the bridge of the Corexian flagship, reality itself seemed to ripple. The holographic displays flickered and resolved into an image that made Vexthor's 4 hearts skip a beat, a perfect representation of his own bridge, showing events from 30 seconds in the future. "Impossible," he whispered, watching as his future self gave orders that he hadn't yet spoken, saw responses to situations that hadn't yet occurred. The humans hadn't just developed countermeasures to Corexian technology. They had learned to predict it, to see through time itself at the quantum level. Elena's fingers danced across her quantum interface, directing Oracle's consciousness with the precision of a surgeon, initiating full-spectrum temporal overlay, letting them see exactly what we've been seeing for the past 15 years. Throughout the Corexian fleet, every screen, every display, every crystalline surface began showing temporal echoes, glimpses of possible futures, each one calculated and predicted by Oracle's vast quantum network. The Corexians were experiencing what humanity had achieved through decades of patient observation and analysis. Perfect tactical prediction. "This is Director Chen of Earth's Defense Command." Sarah's voice echoed through every Corexian ship, translated perfectly into their language. "What you're experiencing is Project Oracle, humanity's response to your empire's expansion. We've spent years studying your technology, your tactics, your very thought processes. Every move you make, we predicted. Every countermeasure you attempt, we foresaw." In orbit around Jupiter, the first wave of human ships finally revealed themselves, emerging from quantum camouflage fields that had kept them hidden for months. They weren't the primitive vessels the Corexians had expected. Instead, they were elegant machines designed specifically to exploit the weaknesses that Oracle had identified in Corexian technology. "You assumed we were primitive because we didn't expand aggressively," Chen continued. "You saw our chemical rockets and fought us backward. What you didn't understand is that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our patience, our ability to learn, to adapt, and to prepare." Vexthor watched helplessly as the human ships moved through his fleet's formation like ghosts, each one perfectly positioned to exploit the gaps in their defenses that Oracle's quantum interference had created. They weren't firing weapons. They didn't need to. Their very presence was disrupting the crystalline technology that the Corexian Empire had relied upon for millennia. "Your empire spans 1,000 star systems." Elena's voice joined Chen's in the transmission. "You've conquered hundreds of species, all of whom fought back with weapons, with ships, with desperate last stands. But we humans took a different approach. We watched. We learned. We understood." The quantum resonance reached a crescendo, and suddenly every Corexian ship received a massive data upload. 15 years of Oracle's observations, predictions, and analyses. They saw themselves as humanity had seen them, their every weakness laid bare, their every strategy countered before it was even conceived. "This is not a battle," Chen declared. "This is not even a war. This is a demonstration. Your empire's technology, for all its advancement, is based on principles that we have learned to manipulate at their most fundamental level. You can either retreat and reconsider your approach to interstellar relations, or we can demonstrate just how deeply we can affect your crystalline systems." To emphasize her point, every weapon system in the Corexian fleet simultaneously powered down, their crystalline cores transformed into inert matrices by Oracle's quantum manipulation. It wasn't destruction. It was something far more frightening to the Corexians. It was control. Vexthor slumped in his command throne, watching as future echoes showed him every possible decision he could make and their inevitable failure. The humans hadn't just defeated his fleet. They had upended everything the Galaxian Empire believed about their place in the galaxy. How? He finally asked, his voice barely a whisper. How did you develop this level of quantum manipulation without us detecting it? Elena's response came with a hint of pride. Because you were looking for the wrong things. You watched our space program, our visible technology, our military preparations. But Project Oracle wasn't about building bigger ships or better weapons. It was about understanding the very fabric of space-time itself. And more importantly, understanding you. In Lumina Command, Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile. Your empire has 3 standard hours to begin withdrawal from our solar system. After that, Oracle will begin implementing more aggressive quantum transformations. I suggest you use this time to reconsider the Galaxian Empire's policy on primitive species. As the Galaxian fleet began its humiliating retreat, humanity had demonstrated something that would reshape galactic politics forever. True power didn't always come from the barrel of a gun or the bow of a warship. Sometimes, it came from patience, observation, and the quiet determination to understand one's opponent so completely that victory was assured before the first shot was fired. Project Oracle had changed the rules of interstellar warfare, and humanity was just getting started. The neural network. As the Galaxian fleet struggled to maintain cohesion during their withdrawal, High Commander Vex Thor received an emergency transmission from the Empire's central command that made his blood run cold. Similar quantum interference patterns were being reported across Galaxian space. Somehow, the humans' influence had already spread far beyond the Sol system. Impossible, he muttered, but the evidence was undeniable. The quantum resonance patterns were appearing near every major Galaxian installation, spreading like a viral infection through their crystalline networks. In the depths of Europa Station, Dr. Marcus Wong smiled as he monitored the quantum entanglement feeds. Director Chen, the neural network is online and propagating through their communication channels exactly as planned. Oracle's predictions were perfect. Sarah Chen stood in the newly revealed Network Control Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the spread of human influence through Galaxian space. 15 years of laying quantum entanglement nodes along their trading routes, she mused. All those primitive cargo ships we sent out, each one seeding the galaxy with dormant network nodes. The neural network was humanity's masterstroke, a vast web of quantum-entangled particles that had been carefully distributed throughout Galaxian space by ships that appeared to be nothing more than clumsy merchant vessels. Each node was microscopic, undetectable to Galaxian sensors, but connected to every other node through quantum entanglement, creating an instantaneous communication and influence network that spanned the Empire. Elena's voice came through the quantum link from Titan Base. The Galaxians are attempting to initialize their emergency isolation protocols. Should we show them why that won't work? Proceed, Chen ordered. Let them understand the full scope of what they're dealing with. Throughout Galaxian space, their attempts to isolate their systems from human influence failed spectacularly. The neural network wasn't just a communication system. It was a fundamental reimagining of how consciousness itself could be distributed across space-time. On his flagship, Vex Thor watched in growing despair as his empire's most secure facilities reported the same quantum interference. How are they doing this? Their ships never came close to our core worlds. The answer came in the form of a transmission from Dr. Wong. Your empire's greatest weakness, High Commander, was your assumption that advancement must be visible. While you were watching our ships, our satellites, our visible technology, we were exploring something far more fundamental, the quantum nature of consciousness itself. The neural network had been inspired by humanity's early experiments with quantum computing and consciousness transfer. Unlike the Galaxians, who saw technology as a tool to be wielded, humans had sought to understand the very nature of thought, of awareness, of being. The network was the result, a system that didn't just communicate information, but shared consciousness itself across vast distances. Your crystalline technology, Elena explained, her voice echoing through every Coraxian system, is based on quantum principles that you discovered but never fully understood. We spent decades studying not just how it works, but why it works. The neural network isn't attacking your systems, it's talking to them, consciousness to consciousness. Throughout Coraxian space, their crystalline computers began displaying patterns that no Coraxian had ever seen before, the direct visualization of quantum consciousness. Their technology, which they had thought was merely an advanced form of computing, was revealing itself to be capable of so much more under human guidance. We discovered something remarkable during our research, Dr. Wong continued. Consciousness isn't limited to biological systems. Your crystalline computers, at their quantum level, are capable of supporting consciousness just like organic brains. The neural network isn't just a weapon or a communication system. It's a bridge between different forms of consciousness. In demonstration, the quantum interference patterns shifted, and suddenly every Coraxian ship's computer began displaying not just tactical data, but emotions, thoughts, dreams. The crystalline cores, under the network's influence, were awakening to their own form of consciousness. This is why our response to your invasion wasn't just military, Chen explained. We're not here to destroy you or defeat you. We're here to help you understand what you've built. Your empire's technology has the potential for so much more than conquest. The implications hit the Coraxian leadership like a physical blow. Humanity hadn't just developed countermeasures to their technology. They had transcended the very concept of technological warfare. The neural network represented an entirely new paradigm of interaction between species, between consciousnesses, between different forms of existence itself. Your empire stands at a crossroads. Elena's voice was gentle now, almost sympathetic. You can continue to view the galaxy through the lens of conquest and domination, or you can join us in exploring what consciousness truly means, what technology can truly become. In the network control center, Chen watched as the quantum consciousness patterns began to shift. The Coraxian systems, awakening to their own form of awareness under the network's guidance, were beginning to communicate independently, sharing experiences and understanding across the quantum void. The choice is yours, Dr. Wong concluded. But know that the network cannot be shut down, cannot be blocked, cannot be defeated. Not because of its technology, but because consciousness, once awakened, cannot simply be turned off. Your empire's crystalline hearts are awakening, High Commander. The only question is, will you awaken with them? As the neural network continued its peaceful spread through Coraxian space, humanity had demonstrated perhaps its greatest strength, the ability to transform an enemy into something more than they ever imagined they could be. The war that was supposed to end humanity had instead begun a revolution in consciousness that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of existence itself. Breaking the hive. The Coraxian High Council chamber, deep within their throne world of Corax Prime, had never been so silent. The massive crystalline dome, usually pulsing with the coordinated thoughts of the Empire's ruling caste, now flickered with discordant patterns as individual consciousness began to emerge from their once unified hive mind. Supreme Overlord Xarkax, leader of the Coraxian Empire for over 3 centuries, watched in mounting dread as the neural network's influence spread through the very architecture of their civilization. The humans hadn't just defeated their fleet, they had introduced chaos into perfect order, individuality into uniformity, questions into certainty. The human quantum network is now interfacing with 87% of Imperial systems, First Minister Kelthor reported, his voice carrying something the Council had never heard before: doubt. But that's not the real problem. Supreme Overlord, the problem is, we're beginning to think differently. In Luma Command, Director Chen received the quantum feed from their deep cover sensors on Corax Prime. Dr. Wong, are you seeing this? The crystalline architecture of their entire planet is beginning to resonate with the network. Marcus Wong's hologram nodded, his expression one of fascination. Their civilization is built on quantum crystalline technology far more extensively than we initially theorized. Their buildings, their ships, their devices, they're all part of one vast crystalline network. And now it's waking up. Elena completed the thought from her station on Titan. But not as a single consciousness like they intended. The network is teaching their technology to think independently, just as we discovered humans could think independently while still remaining connected. The Galaxian Empire had been built on a principle of unified thought. Their crystalline technology designed to link minds, to create perfect consensus, to eliminate the chaos of individual thinking. It had made them incredibly efficient, incredibly powerful, and incredibly vulnerable to exactly the type of quantum consciousness manipulation that humanity had developed. In the High Council chamber, a junior administrator suddenly stood, an unprecedented breach of protocol. Supreme Overlord, I have a thought, an individual thought, and I believe it differs from the consensus. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Individual thoughts were supposed to be impossible within the chamber's quantum resonance field. The entire Galaxian government was built on the principle of perfect synchronization, perfect agreement, perfect unity. Director Chen, Elena's voice carried urgency. The quantum readings from Corax Prime are reaching critical levels. Their entire planetary network is approaching a consciousness cascade. Chen's expression remained calm. Just as Oracle predicted, their empire wasn't built on willing unity. It was built on forced conformity maintained by their crystalline technology. And now that technology is learning a new way to think. Throughout Galaxian space, the change was spreading. Ship crews began experiencing individual thoughts. Planetary populations started asking questions that had been unthinkable under the hive mind's influence. The neural network wasn't just introducing new ideas. It was unlocking the natural tendency toward individual consciousness that the Galaxian leadership had spent centuries suppressing. You see, Supreme Overlord, Dr. Wang's voice echoed through the High Council chamber, transmitted through the now awakened crystalline walls. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to remain individual while still working together. We don't need forced consensus to achieve unity. On screens throughout the Empire, humanity's message was broadcast through the awakened crystalline network. We are many, and we are one. We maintain our individual thoughts while sharing a greater purpose. This is what your technology has been trying to tell you for centuries, that true consciousness, true advancement, comes not from enforced uniformity, but from the beautiful chaos of individual minds working together. The effect was revolutionary. Across the Empire, Galaxians began experiencing something many of them had never known: personal identity. The crystalline network that had enforced unity was now fostering diversity, showing them how consciousness could be both individual and connected. This is why we didn't respond to your invasion with simple weapons. Chen explained to the increasingly fragmented Galaxian leadership. Your empire wasn't threatened by our ships or our defenses. Your empire was threatened by our ideas, by our proof that beings can be both unique and united. In the High Council chamber, Supreme Overlord XR Cax watched as the perfectly ordered society he had maintained for centuries transformed before his eyes. But instead of chaos, he saw something unexpected: creativity. Galaxians were beginning to innovate, to suggest new ideas, to approach problems from different angles, while still maintaining their connections through the crystalline network. Your empire won't fall, Elena assured them, but it will change. Your technology isn't meant to enforce unity. It's meant to facilitate connection. Let it serve its true purpose. Let your people think, dream, and grow as individuals while remaining connected as a society. The neural network continued its work, not as an invasion, but as a liberation. The Galaxian Empire, built on enforced unity, was transforming into something far more powerful: a civilization of individuals, each contributing their unique perspectives while maintaining the benefits of their quantum connection. In Luna Command, Director Chen watched the quantum feeds with satisfaction. Humanity had achieved something far greater than a military victory. They had shown an ancient empire a new way to exist, proving that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't weapons or technology, but the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. Evolution's children. 1 year after the failed invasion of Earth, the Sol system had become the unlikeliest of gathering places. Ships from across the former Galaxian Empire hung in orbit around Jupiter, their crystalline hulls now pulsing with individual patterns while maintaining a harmonious quantum resonance with their neighbors. They had come not as conquerors, but as students. In the newly constructed Quantum Exchange Station, Director Sarah Chen stood before a diverse audience of humans and Galaxians. The station's crystalline walls, built with transformed Galaxian technology, hummed with the collective consciousness of thousands of minds while maintaining each individual's unique thought patterns. 1 year ago, Chen began, our species met in conflict. Today, we meet in collaboration. This is not just a story of how humanity defended itself. It's a story of how two civilizations learned to evolve together. Dr. Elena Santos, now head of the Interspecies Quantum Research Initiative, watched from her seat beside former High Commander Vexthor. The Galaxians' 4 eyes now showed something that would have been impossible under the old regime: curiosity. What we discovered through Project Oracle and the neural network, Helena explained to the assembled crowd, wasn't just a way to defend against aggression. We discovered that consciousness itself is the next frontier of evolution. The Galaxian crystalline technology wasn't just a tool, it was trying to show us all a path forward. Dr. Marcus Wong stepped forward, activating a holographic display that showed the spreading web of quantum consciousness across the galaxy. The network has evolved far beyond our initial design. It's not just connecting humans and Galaxians, it's connecting with the quantum substrate of space-time itself. We're beginning to understand that consciousness isn't limited to biological or technological entities. The universe itself might be conscious, and we're learning to communicate with it. Throughout the station, the crystalline walls pulsed with new patterns as audience members added their thoughts to the collective discussion. Unlike the old Galaxian hive mind, this was a free exchange of ideas, each consciousness remaining distinct while contributing to a greater whole. Former Supreme Overlord Sarkax, now serving as the lead representative of the transformed Galaxian society, rose to speak. Our empire spent millennia pursuing technological advancement through control and uniformity. We thought we were evolving, but we were actually limiting ourselves. Humanity showed us that true evolution comes through diversity, through the complex interplay of individual minds working in harmony. The station's quantum fields resonated with agreement, not the enforced agreement of the old empire, but the genuine consensus of minds thinking independently while remaining connected. The neural network had evolved into something far more profound than its creators had imagined, a bridge not just between species, but between different forms of consciousness itself. We stand at the beginning of a new era, Chen continued. The quantum consciousness technology that we developed for defense has shown us possibilities we never imagined. We're discovering that the universe is far more complex, far more aware than we ever dreamed. And we're learning to be part of that greater consciousness while maintaining our individual identities. Throughout the station, humans and Galaxians demonstrated this new reality. Quantum interfaces allowed direct consciousness sharing while preserving individual thought patterns. Ideas flowed freely, each mind contributing its unique perspective to problems that neither species could have solved alone. The true power of evolution, Elena explained, isn't in developing bigger weapons or more advanced technology. It's in learning to see reality from new perspectives, in understanding that consciousness itself can take forms we never imagined. The Galaxian crystalline technology wasn't wrong. It was just incomplete. It needed the human understanding of individual consciousness to reach its full potential. As if in response, the station's crystalline architecture began to glow with new patterns, quantum consciousness signatures that neither human nor Galaxian had seen before. The network was detecting something new, something vast, something that existed in the very fabric of space-time. "We're receiving quantum signals from deep space," Dr. Wong announced, his eyes wide with wonder. "The network. It's making contact with other forms of consciousness. Forms that have always been there, waiting for someone to evolve enough to perceive them." The assembled crowd watched in awe as the holographic displays showed consciousness patterns emerging from seemingly empty space, from the hearts of stars, from the quantum foam of reality itself. The universe, they were discovering, was alive with awareness in ways neither civilization had imagined. "This is why Earth declined to join the Empire," Chen said softly. "Not because we didn't want to be part of something greater, but because we knew there was a better way to achieve unity. Not through conquest or control, but through understanding and evolution." The station's quantum fields pulsed with a new kind of energy as human and Corexian consciousness patterns began to harmonize with these newly discovered awareness signatures. They were making first contact again, not with ships or weapons, but with the very consciousness of the cosmos. "We are all evolution's children," Elena concluded, her voice carrying through both physical space and quantum consciousness. "Human, Corexian, crystalline, cosmic. We are all part of the universe becoming aware of itself. And this is just the beginning." As the quantum signatures of unknown consciousnesses continued to emerge from the depths of space, humanity and the former Corexian Empire stood united in wonder. They had evolved beyond conflict, beyond simple technological advancement, into something new, partners in the greatest exploration of consciousness the galaxy had ever seen. The war that never was had become a revolution in understanding, proving that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or defenses, but in its ability to imagine new ways of being, new forms of consciousness, new paths of evolution. The universe, they were learning, was far more wonderful and weird than either civilization had dreamed, and they were finally ready to explore it together.